Yo, what's up, family? This is Labtekwon hollering at my man Patty Lane on wordisbond.com. Future Shop for you. What can people expect next from Labtekwon on the next album? I gotta make something clear. And I really want people to understand this. I had an experience in 2002. I went on the Mush tour. You know, I was on a tour with the dude Dose One and Yoni and Radio and Active and, you know, all these kids that were on Mush at that time in 2002, spring 2002. On the tour, I had moments where it was like, I would play chess with the dude Odd Nos Dom, and then, you know, it was like I beat him at chess, and then it was like this mentality like, oh, you must not really be from the hood because you play chess. And then it was like, you know, because of my vocabulary, they would say shit like, oh, well, I never heard anybody from the hood use those kind of words. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like, and I realized this perspective of black people is so narrow, they don't even understand the idea that everyone that lives in a so-called ghetto or impoverished neighborhood is not the same, and every ghetto is not the same. The way it is in LA may not be the same as Baltimore. One thing they did that really irked the fuck out of me, the term wigger. Now, the concept of a wigger is it's a white boy that acts black. And by acting black, what they mean by that is wearing athletic gear, wearing your hat a certain way, you know, using certain slang or vernacular, you know, certain mannerisms, and they would identify these white kids that they assumed were acting black as wiggers. So in my mind, I'm a pretty rational person. I would think to myself back then, I said, if you call the white dudes that act black wiggers, then that must mean you think the black dudes that act black are niggas. And once I had that understanding of these guys on this Mush tour, I was turned off. Before that tour, I had this naive perception and perspective that through true school or underground hip hop, people somehow came to a sense of enlightenment and a collective love for humanity through so-called underground hip-hop. And what I mean by underground hip-hop, I mean that it's not through the mainstream vehicle of mass media. It's not on the radio. You don't see the videos on Viacom outlets like MTV and BET. Underground is never going to stop. It's always going to be an underground because there's always going to be somebody exploiting something, and there's going to always be somebody else that wants to tell the truth, and you're always going to have a conflict between the lie and the truth. And the way that this world works, the truth is always held in a darker realm than the lie. The lie is always going to be put on a pedestal. So, you know, as long as that exists in this society, there's always going to be an underground. But when I went on that tour, initially I thought it was going to be this experience where I was going to bond with guys that I had respect for and they had respect for me, and it was just love and all this bullshit. Man, I found out that racism exists in every stratum of American society. There is no realm of this society that is not affected by racism. And that applies to the context that racism is based on white supremacy. There is no such thing as black racism. There's black prejudice, there's black discrimination, there's black ethnocentrism, but racism is an ideology that was developed by people like Voltaire that suggested that the European or the Caucasian was the modern man and every other person in the human family was a primitive form of man. And this gave them what Rudyard Kipling later called the white man's burden of going all over the planet Earth and civilizing the savages. That's what racism is. Racism has nothing to do with black people not liking white people. That's ridiculous. That's like saying if a woman doesn't like a man, she's a male chauvinist. Doesn't make sense. That's stupid. You can't be a male chauvinist unless you're a man. That's how it works. There's no such thing as misogyny against men. It's called misandry. It's a different thing. So dead that. Get out of here with that. That's that bullshit. Reverse racism, race card bullshit. Fuck you. That's some nonsense that someone made up. As long as people exploit something and use it to their advantage, it will continue, and racism is one of those things. Hip-hop culture had always been a refuge for me, and my experience with hip-hop culture, it was always a certain form of liberation, freedom, justice, and equality, but it became an awakening where I was like, basically, I have to go through the same shit I used to go through in school, walking up the street when a white cop drives by and yells out monkey or nigger, because the shit happens to me in my life. You know, I always have been a person that's been open-minded, you know what I'm saying? I got friends of all different phenotypes, all different ethnicities, because there's only one race, the human race, when you get down to it. That race shit, Voltaire and French philosophers invented that shit so they could have a justifiable means to go fuck people over and still keep their religious piety. That's what the fuck it was. And then deeper still, those motherfuckers didn't represent Christ. Just because they did it with a cross, that doesn't mean they were Christ-like. People want to say, well, the church did it. It's like the church ain't do nothing. It was white people with crosses that did it. The same way the white people in the Ku Klux Klan burned crosses, and then they came up with this new Hamitic hypothesis referring to the book of Genesis, where Noah cursed Ham's descendants to be servants to his brothers. It's this warped hermeneutics. It's this warped perspective of ideology that enables people to continue racism in other forms. I realize hip-hop culture in its purest form always brings freedom, justice, and equality. However, those that will extrapolate aspects of the culture can combine it with an agenda that is in opposition to the true ethos of hip-hop culture. So that Mush tour, it opened my eyes. I ain't see no John Browns on that tour. Straight like that. And that changed my life, man, because up until that point, I looked forward to going to Europe. I looked forward to traveling all over the United States doing what I love and what brought me happiness, and assuming that there were people that appreciated the culture. I was naive. I was so willing to see that better day. They woke my ass up. They gave me clarity. And you know, from that point forward, I realized there is no compromise for me. I'm not motivated by money. I'm not motivated by acceptance. You know, none of these things matter. What I've done in the past is an evolution. You know, when I did the BET Uncut, a lot of people went off. To be brutally honest with you, I did the BET Uncut as a satire. The original song that I did for the BET Uncut video, was Freak Pervert. The original purpose of the video was, I honestly felt like underground hip hop had reached a point of heterophobia, which meant when I went on that Mush tour, I didn't see no women. It was all dudes. I grew up in Baltimore. My experience with basement parties and hip hop music, it was always women there. It was always girls. And when I started really going to travel and, you know, going on these little underground rap tours, it would never be no chicks there. And I was thinking like, damn, so you basically gotta be a whack MC for women to come through. And I knew that wasn't true because I ain't really had them type of problems as far as meeting beautiful women in my real life. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do something real crazy. They never would expect me to do a video on BET Uncut because they had put me in the category of, you're an alien, you're too weird. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. You a clown. When I did the Uncut, it was a joke, it was a satire, but it worked. What ended up happening was, it's gone off the internet because after Savior Day 2011, Minister Farrakhan spoke about swine behavior, and I decided that that was a bad move. It was like swine behavior that I put that video out. When I did it, I didn't see it like that. I saw it as being artistic and rebellious to this idea that a true school underground MC couldn't relate to anybody except nerds. I mean, I can relate to nerds. I like comic books. You know, I like Seth Rogen and Michael Cera and all those type of dudes. They're funny as shit. But at the same time, I like Paul Mooney. I like Cat Williams. I like Michael Epps. So that context of my experience is unique. And I wanted to show that, yeah, I can MC and ill you out with this space age shit, but I can land the motherfucking ship too. It's nothing. You know, when I did the Uncut, it was lashing out at that idea of the limitations of what a black artist could do. I'm not living in this fantasy world of where Malcolm X and the Black Panthers were the pinnacle of black consciousness. To me, they weren't. They were a lower frequency. They have their purpose, they have their place. But I understand that the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that's 2012. That's where we are right now. I'm on an evolution. I'm not living in the past. I know a lot of guys nowadays, it's like this 90s nostalgia. The 90s are over. Get over it. The best stuff didn't happen in the 90s. The best stuff didn't happen in the 80s. The best stuff is happening now. It's obscure. It's overshadowed by whackness, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The emphasis of my art, I'm just going to always manifest knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, and equality. I'm not doing uncut videos no more. The statement that I wanted to make to that was that I still love black women. I still be around the way. I still talk to around the way girls. I didn't pee on them or pour drinks on them or do cruddy stuff to them. I didn't slap them on their butt or nothing like that. I put them in the video because I thought they were beautiful. My thing that irked me was when white girls be in videos and they do Sports Illustrated and all that, they centerfolds and models. Black women do it. She a video hoe. What the fuck is that? But I understand, I get it, you know what I mean? It's a long journey before there's true freedom, justice, and equality for everybody in this society. So, you know, that's where I'm at with mine. I mean, I love humanity, you know what I'm saying? I could watch Gunsmoke or Bonanza and see, you know, some old white dude hugging his son, and it'll touch me and I might get misty-eyed because I love humanity. I love to see people happy. I love to see people love each other, but at the same time, I thirst for justice and equality. You know, I work to try to build a better foundation so that a new world can come into existence where freedom, justice, and equality are standards, not dreams. If you want to look towards my music for something, you'll see a true artist. I saw what they did to Basquiat. I saw what they did to Jimi Hendrix. It ain't going down like that with me. I'm going to maintain, even if nobody wants to hear what I'm saying or if everybody wants to hear it, I'm going to do what I got to do. This is an art form. You're supposed to get better over time and innovate and create new standards of the art form as you go. Expect innovation, expect future shock, expect the unexpected, expect knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, and equality. For all my homies out there, all the John Browns out there, realize if you truly believe in humanity, you gotta get rid of the disease of racism before you can assume we all hold hands and pretend that it's all good. What have you done to reverse the detriment of a wicked and iniquitous system? If you've not done anything to reverse it, you can't be lukewarm and expect me to give you accolades. Respect the culture, respect the art form, respect yourself, respect humanity. When you see someone stand up against inequality, when you see someone stand up against injustice, if you feel offended, then you're probably the cause of the problem. I don't get mad when women say that sexism is a problem, because I'm not a sexist, so they're not talking to me. When someone asserts pride in being Italian or Swedish, or someone that practices Judaism, doesn't offend me, I'm cool with it. Share with me something from your culture. I'll be enhanced by it. If you're offended by my assertion of blackness and the need for justice, if that shit offends you, if me calling out racism offends you, if me calling out the inequalities that have been put upon black people in America since chattel slavery offends you, if you're tired of hearing black people complain, you probably the cause of the goddamn problem. And with that, I say, fuck you. And to everybody else, love, peace, and happiness to the human family. Labtekwon, Patty Lane, wordisbond.com, Future Shop for you.